Hi, Dirk. It's nice to be here.
My pleasure, Nick. Want to tell me a bit about that mug?
This is the ROM mug. This is from a telecommunications company that existed in the mid 80s. Not necessarily extremely successful. I fetched this at a small antique shop in Arcata, Michigan during an antiquing excursion that I went on one of my many holidays for found items. And this is actually one that very fascinating feature. Warming it, putting warm liquid within it, will
Yeah.
bring out the ROM logo within this video phone, which is, of course, one of the first video phones made available on the mass market, though, of course, they'd been discussed as early as 1972. If you look at William Gaddis's book, J.R., there are mentions of cable companies producing video phones for private conferences within the industry of the school system. However, this didn't become common practice until recently with the advent of Skype and the iPad.
Gotcha. So is it that logo that attracted you to it, or telecommunications? You know, you were born in like the '80s, like kind of somewhat, not really, like '89. That's kind of pre-internet. You're in an uncomfortable place there, right between the fall of the Soviet Union and the destruction of the Twin Towers. So why telecommunications on your mug?
There are three words that a man once told me at a spiritual retreat I was at. I remember DOS.
Okay.
DOS was simplistic programming. It was all very clear. Green, black, backgrounds,
So, like,
words,
yeah.
text. Everything was
Internet
plain. It made
0.5.
sense. Absolutely. Perhaps 0.03 even. And ROM harkens back to a time at which the simplicity in technology was implicit. It was a time when everything served a single or possibly dual function. And you could turn to a single thing and go, perhaps this handle will give me access to the world of sound. Perhaps the screen will give me access to the world of video. And perhaps I, by achieving both, will gain social status at last. ROM speaks to the idea that you could have it all at one point in time. And however, now, in the world that we have of coding and of private developments of projects, of people in England who build nuclear bombs to let off on their tables and film for YouTube videos, there's no such thing as the glass ceiling. There's no upper limit. It's now just us and possibility. But back in the days of ROM, there was a final answer. There was a most technology. There was a most achievement of two-car garage, of picket fence, of dream. There was an end to America.
So you want to bring ROM back?
I want to remember ROM forever. We're not going to bring them back so much to preserve them within our memories.
So you're saying that we send ROM into space, where it can live forever amongst the stars?
The Challenger essentially was an arm of ROM. When you
Yes.
think of the octopus, the great multi-headed hydra that was 1980s technology, most of which consisted of nothing more than plastic tubes and simple microchips that could have been mistaken for Lay's or crispy Ruffles.
I have to interrupt. Vacuum tubes or microchips? Which one?
Vacuum tubes.
Vacuum tubes, I thought so.
Vacuum tubes allow for direct sensory visceral experience. If you go into a vacuum environment, which could be a tube, which could be a cube, which could be anything that ends with oob, you can find yourself experiencing something beyond the normal. You can hear perhaps nothing but your nervous system and your own heart beating, whereas a microchip can only take us to a simulation of these things. Vacuum tubes represent the physical, the real, the immediate, and I would much rather have a medieval world than a bastardized futuristic one.
So, okay, all right. So now we're entering up we're opening up the world of alternate bastard realities. So how many of your alternate selves do you think are lizards or lizard people, hostile reptilian, starfaring entities, dinosaurs?
An infinite number.
Infinite number.
When you're dealing with the multiverse, you have to accept that even if there's a finite amount of space within the situation they're dealing with, the infinite nature of time and the smaller number of particles within every individual thing that you see allow for an infinite number of manifestations. So you can't speak about the multiverse in terms of how many. The only question is which forms are we going to focus on now. Now, the thing that I believe might be true with some of the higher forms, the most achieved versions of these sub-entities of the Overnick, is that they realize the singularity of their existence and their relationship to the rest of the Nicks, lizard or not. So in the long run, there's actually only one of which we can speak, since infinity in and of itself is singular, and thus every sub-portion of it is also singular. However, if you want to focus on individual lizards, I'd like to say that my favorites, for the record, are those which wear the breastplates of Tsar Alklan.
Nice. The destroyer of Zakron 5.
Exactly.
That was a dark time.
It was. Thank God for the crystal doctors of Fen Opner. If it wasn't for them, we would have never achieved ghost stasis.
Ghost stasis. Well, we covered a lot of ground today, from coffee mugs to Rome to lizard entities.
This is amazing. This is, dichotomy truly is the theme of this evening, and I'm glad that you've been able to keep things so full circle in the whole span of this discussion. This is a beautiful institution you have here.
It's a pleasure to talk to you, Mr. Hanilovich.
You as well.
I'm D3rk Kr4ng, and this is Bourbon on the Couch, episode 1. Thank you.